So, Antonio, we're still on the pre-show for the YouTube portion of the show. We're going to go on. We're going to create a podcast, and we'll come up and open the audience for about 15 or 20 minutes. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a really busy guy. You're very successful with the online business. So thank you to the YouTube portion. And so when we start, you can talk, Antonio. We're just pre-show. No. We're still pre-show. For those on the YouTube portion, you'll hear about it. I'll do post-production on the podcast, but Antonio's a Marine. He is started early with John Lee Dumas on the online business. They're sort of that young group, all about the same age, coming out of the war and going off in their ways and creating their businesses. Antonio, you've done, again, episode 39 on timelines. We'll really go back and teach people about what you've done and how you've evolved. But your website, of course, is realmenrealstyle.com, correct?
Yep, that's it.
So we'll go into that right away. We'll talk about your business, but let's take a quick pause, and then we're going to come right. I got to do a gap here, and then we'll come right back for the podcast. And I'll ask you a first question. I want to get things going right away on the podcast. So I'm going to ask you, what was I going to ask you? It was, what should we wear when we're doing a blab? That's a good question. What should I wear?
And my serious question to you is how would you feel if you were naked doing a podcast?
You can come back and ask that question, and I'll answer it.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold a second. Antonio, welcome back to Timelines. It's good to have you back after 139.
Hey, good to be here, Bill.
So we're going to shoot right away is, what should I be wearing when I do a blab? What kind of clothes should I wear? Should I have the 3-day beard growing? Should I have my rags on? What should I wear? And
so my serious question to you is, why not just do this blab naked?
I guess I'd probably get thrown out of blab, first of all, but I'm not the kind of guy to be naked on a show. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
Exactly. You wouldn't feel comfortable. So, one of the powerful things about, and you served, you know what it's like. How did you feel in your uniform, your dress uniform?
Always felt good.
Always felt good.
In fact, you'd be proud of me. When I was a young second lieutenant, one thing I spent a lot of money on was, I'm a West Point grad, and we had a choice of the best tailors in the world. I bought the most expensive blues and system you could buy. I got married in those, and they were great. And
why? Why spend that money? Why care? I mean, you're a warrior. Our job has nothing to do with fashion, or does it? I always love that example of, like, people think somehow fashion doesn't matter. Look at the best dress. Go back to gladiators, and what did they do before they went out there and, pretty much you're going in, you're 50% chance you're going to die. It's like, you're actually braiding your hair. You're making sure everything, your armor is perfectly cleaned, aligned, because presentation does matter. If no one else, for yourself, and for you to feel at your utmost highest level. So whether it's a pilot getting into his, if a pilot is going to go fly an F-18 and he's wearing a ballerina's tutu, do you think he's going to fly as well? No, because it's like, it puts him in a strange state. It's like, he just doesn't feel like he's in his game face. Same thing. Football player walks out on the field. If he's not wearing his football uniform, it actually, like baseball players, lucky they don't wash their underwear for a while. Why do they do these superstitious things? It's called, it's out of the field of enclothed cognition. And it's the study, and it is proven that what we wear has an effect on our mind and our overall performance. So one of the classic studies out of Northwestern, they show people wearing doctor's jackets. They actually then take a test. They perform higher if they're wearing a doctor's jacket. They're more careful, more attentive to details. If they're wearing a painter's smock, no difference in performance. So why did a doctor's jacket make them perform better? Simply, they felt smarter and they acted smarter. And so my answer is, you can wear whatever you want that gives you the confidence to do your best. And that's what I stress at Real Men, Real Style. It's not about suits. It's like, if that is your style. Most people just go through life, though, and they never even really figure out who they are and what they stand for. I dress well, even though I live in a town of 1,000 people in small the Midwest. I dress well because I represent myself, I represent my family, represent my business every time I walk out that door. And it doesn't matter if I go to the grocery store or go to meet my daughter's teacher. I have my own representation. Many people think they're a jeans and t-shirt kind of person. Well, really, have you ever thought about that? Like, what do jeans and t-shirts represent? And have you ever taken the time to actually reflect and really identify who you are and what you stand for?
That's true. Now, I have moved to Reno, Nevada, and it's a Western culture here, and there's a lot of good Levi's and jeans, but like my daughter, their Levi's are pretty darn expensive. Like $100. It's like style and boots. You got to have the cowboy boots here.
Yep.
And it's where you are to fit in too, whether you're New York or Midwest. It's a fine line. I notice you want to be, at least for me, and we've had real estate businesses and construction companies when we weren't in the military, and there is certain uniforms to wear in each of those industries. And for example, you don't want to be overdressed, but you want to be just dressed slightly as well as, or a little bit more so than your client.
It depends. I mean, environment does play a factor, and not just also your need of it, but in your profession matters a lot. But what you don't want to do is betray expectations, because if you go into the emergency room in Reno, Nevada, or New York City, or Houston, Texas, what do you expect that doctor to look like?
Right.
What do you expect? I mean,
they're going to wear scrubs.
Scrubs. Yeah. Or to see that white jacket.
If they're in their
stethoscope. Do you think they really ever use that? Why do you think they wear that stethoscope there? It's like they've got, these are all little cues to get us to trust them. Because if that doctor walks out and he's wearing a Grateful Dead t-shirt, he looks like he hasn't showered or shaved for 5 days. He smells like marijuana, and he says, "Hey, I'll take your kid." Are you going to give him your kid, your beautiful, your child? Like, I'm going to be like, is this guy just a random drug addict that's escaped, just woke up from an overdose? Just like.
Now, I worked in the collective down here, and it's a group of computer programmers, developers, designers, all working together, coming together collaboratively. But a lot of times you'll see that 3-day beard, you'll see the Levi's and the shorts. So they'll be clean though. They'll be clean and neat, but they're still, they just look a little different. It's a look.
Yeah. And it's a fashion or, oftentimes herd mentality. It's like they look at the way other people are and they imitate it. Also, they're products of their environment. Because when you go shopping, it's harder. Like the sweater I'm wearing by Ben Sherman was curated for me by a company at Men's Style Lab out of Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. And this is a hard to find sweater in my area. So no one's going to be wearing it because everyone shops at the local stores here.
Yeah.
So when you shop at the local stores, you're captive to what they can provide you. So that's another thing that, it's like most people, they're just going to buy locally, and whatever is offered to them, they're going to fall into. They are, in a sense, they're following a fashion because they're buying into the local fashion. Look at pictures 50 years ago where guys wearing ball caps, t-shirts, cargo shorts, and running shoes. No, but if you go to a normal event now in the United States, what's everyone wearing? What I just described. It's a fashion trend, yet they don't even know they're in it.
Yeah, that's so true. So tell us a little bit more about how your business is going the last 2 years. What's happened since episode 39 or whatever it was? Episode 39.
Well, we probably quadrupled the amount of money we make. So that's always a good thing. I'm trying to work less. I really got into advertising more. We've probably, increased our traffic and views by easily. We probably get about just over 40 to 50,000 people a day to Real Men Real Style. So well over 1 million uniques a month. My YouTube channel gets about double that. So YouTube is just continuing to explode for us. Really, for me, it's been about growing my team, increasing consistency, and being able to expand the ways that we're making money and trying to make sure I'm enjoying this. I also have now a conference, which I told you about, STYLECON, where this year, here in March 11th through 13th, we'll have about 200 people come out to Atlanta. And for me, it's a lot of fun. It's just a big party, and I get paid for it. So
that looks like a lot of work to create STYLECON. I've considered that here in Reno, Nevada, do something in the new media world, but this looks like a lot of work.
So here's how it wasn't a lot of work, is I reduced risk. I got a great partner, and we worked on this every single week on Thursday at a set time for a year to build up to it. Also, I already had an existing audience. So one of the hardest things for a lot of people that throw conferences is they don't necessarily have the marketing arm, or they've got to try to figure out how to sell tickets. I understood copywriting. So we focused in and we clearly identified who our perfect customer avatars were. And we went after those kind of people. And actually, I was just telling my wife the other day, it seems like a lot less work to me simply because my partner, Aaron Marino, we held each other accountable every week. We were knocking out a task, even like 8 months before. And now here we are just a few weeks before. I don't really have anything to do except sit back and enjoy it.
Well, you picked a nice town to do it in, Atlanta, which is easy to get to and less expensive to get to because of Delta.
And that's why we chose Atlanta. That is Aaron's town. And
really?
We wanted to reduce risk. So we got to grow out of the location. You look at anytime you're going to do something, you can quickly figure out, where do most people fail? Most people fail when they throw a conference because they can't get enough butts and seats, and they've spent a lot of money on the location, on the audio. So we thought, okay, well, first off, we'll start smaller. We can get the butts and seats. The other thing is we just went really cheap with the location. Now we got a sweetheart deal, but Aaron lives there in Atlanta. He drove over, he met with them, versus if you do it in Vegas, yeah, everyone can get out to Vegas. But if you don't live in Vegas,
right,
it's kind of like you're showing up to sight unseen. You're hoping that things are ready. So when you show up, there's going to be all these things that are crazy over. I mean, we're doing it there in Atlanta, and we've got 10 people that are local who have been facilitating things, and Aaron already had existing relationships.
Now Atlanta is not New York, but it's definitely become more of a place of style, hasn't it? Hasn't it become more of a hub? Or what is the hub in Atlanta these days, other than great transportation in a big city and a lot of modern?
I don't know. Good food. I think it's a clean, nice town. Like you said, it's easy to get to. It's not New York, but the way I figure it is I created the conference with a unique, we have a great proposition if you are a content creator or if you sell to men. It just makes sense to be there. And if I can't sell you on those 2 points to have this as a business expense to come out to our conference, then yeah, if you're not willing to pay for the flight and the short little hotel stay to come out to the conference, which the tickets are relatively cheap, honestly, it's not a big pain for you, and we don't need you there.
And that's really smart. That's really good to have a partner. Yeah, their tickets are very, very reasonable, really reasonable. Well, now, who should come to this conference?
I try to get people that sell to men. So if you own a custom clothier, if you have a large business and one of your target demographics is the male client, it would make sense because we've got over 50 content creators that are going to be there. And all of these guys have very sizable audiences when it comes to the male. So Andy Snavely over at Primer Magazine, Aaron Reno over at Alpha M. He's been on Shark Tank, Fear Factor, a few others, but he gets daily to his YouTube channel, probably 200,000, maybe 250, over 1 million people a day to his channel. So he's got over 1 million subscribers. So when you see people like this that have this type of reach, that they can say something and create thousands of dollars in sales for you, it would make sense to me to come out there. For the content creators, it's simply there's nothing else like this where, New Media Expo used to kind of be like this, but that was more of, where all the people, it was a wide collective group. This is simply if you're in men's lifestyle and you talk about it, you want to be around other people that talk about it because there's just opportunity to get to know the other people in the space.
Yeah. I would think a great web company coming here to meet people to help them go where you've gone would be also a thing to do to bring it to the next step. Hey,
and that would probably be eventually somebody else we would look to bring in as we expanded it right now. But I wanted to focus in on those two who I viewed as the third person we go after is just the super fan, the guy that has been watching 100 of my videos, 100 of Aaron's videos. Why not come out? We've got a self-development day. Why not come out and hang out with us? See, we're real people that you can use our information to get to the next level.
With that, we're going to go to our first break. And Tony, we're coming back off the break, and there's so many things I can ask you or want to ask you, but we don't have enough time on this episode. We're only about 15 minutes left of the podcast. But on this portion, I want to go into both your relationship with YouTube and this new podcast that you're launching and what your strategy is. And I want to say one last thing before we go into that. We analyze websites on Saturday morning on the WordPress show, which is WP Tonic, and have the very top people in the world on WordPress on it. And just looking at yours, what I've learned from being part of that show is we'd call this, just to start, the $10,000 website. That's how much it would cost to get the professionals in to create this connectivity, this creative website. So I would like to ask you about all those three things, really, about let's talk with this podcast coming up. What are you going to do with the podcast, and why are you doing a podcast?
Well, really quick. So relative wise, Is there ever a $100,000 website, or is 10,000 like high or low?
No, there is definitely a $100,000 website. In fact, I have what I call the $1,500 website, which is just the framework to get started. But the 10, for example, having more, this is when you look at your website, why it's a $10,000 website is because.
But relative wise, is that in the 90th percentile, in the 50th percentile? Where am I at? Where does 10,000 fall?
You're definitely in the top 10th of a percent, very top in that level. The step above that would be your high level corporate sites, which, $100,000. I mean, this is just a starter, the $10,000 to get to this level. And we meet a lot of people who invest $10,000 who don't have websites that are close to this website. And
it's something we've been building for years, and we have a lot of fun. I mean, it's a basic WordPress platform and it has a lot of content. So that was the key, is to actually make it. So how can you find, we've got 2,000 articles on there, and they're all good, great information. Most of the articles are 2,000 to 3,000 words long. So that's why we do so well in the search engines, is it's great content, and Google wants to index our content.
When I said $10,000, I wasn't talking about your content. I was just talking about the layout, the tabs, the artwork, and the framework.
Cool.
And the coaching it took to get you to start creating that content. And there's a lot to this. Your site is what I consider a perfect site for a business person who wants to get where you are. I mean, this is complicated. We could talk about that. I'm going to bring this up on the WP Tonic on Saturday morning. Your site.
Cool. I'd love to hear. Yeah, I'd love to hear what some of those guys always think. I mean, it's one of those things you can always do better. And we've screwed up so many times on the website, but we always are trying to improve and make it, more user-friendly, have fun with it at the same time. But I did keep it simple. I mean, I'm simply using StudioPress, one of their premium themes, their Genesis. And it's like, I don't want to, I want to be, we edited it all in-house. We don't have any, so that was another thing with the size. I didn't want to hire a company and then them disappear and me not be able to adjust the site.
Well, who developed your graphics?
I have just an artist in-house.
Wow. Her name's that makes sense with your background with design.
Yeah, I'm all pretty much self-taught. I'm a big believer that there's a lot we can do. We put you think about what Isaac Newton was able to do. I mean, he was all self-taught. Ben Franklin, self-taught. Yeah. So we all have the same pretty much genetic makeup. Why can't we figure out something like this?
Well, some of the people come on. John Locke, who's a really top California WordPress designer, will be reviewing this site. And I'm not going to tell him anything of what you just said, how you self-taught built it up. And I'm going to ask them what the value is. And John, also we'll get Jonathan Denwood and a couple others. And we also have this week, we have Chris Briggett from LMS Lifter, which is really
send me a link on after email. Send me a link so I can.
I will cut out a little snippet for you and let you listen to it and look at it, because I know what I think. You're a Marine. I got this feeling. You're a Marine. You started out, the Marine Corps. You went to basic. You had to learn be an infantryman, and you come into your specialty. It's sort of like the Navy guys too. They're even more like this. They say, I can do anything in the Navy. If you talk to the Navy folks on ship, because they have to learn to fight fires and do everything they do. But it's something this can-do attitude to jump in. And it's one thing that I'm trying to teach. I'm opening up a program, which I call the $1,500 website. And it just takes, like you said, StudioPress. It starts out with Genesis as a framework, and it links everything together so you understand all the social media, linking it all together, and then letting you build it and create it. But you don't build something like this overnight. You don't learn to do what you've done overnight. How long did it take you to get to this level?
Oh, we've been doing this for like 5 years, 6 years. So
what was the first year like?
Lots of coffee, up all night. I had paid a company. My first company, a tailored suit, I paid $10,000 for them to build the website, and they delivered to me something that was not what I wanted. Basically, it didn't work. But per the contract, they said that they delivered. Like, the website didn't work. It didn't do what I needed it to do. But they're like, well, we did the work, we fulfilled it, and I think that's I should have done a better job. So by necessity, I had to learn how to do this stuff. So you just go to Barnes and Noble and you sit and you just read books and you play and you create something that's friggin' ugly, but that doesn't really matter if your content's good and if you get it out there, and then you just keep revising it.
see the first thing when I look at your site, this is not WP Tonic, but I see right away you've got a place to join on the front site, and it's gorgeous. I don't want to talk all about WordPress because we do that on Saturdays, but I am impressed, extraordinarily impressed, and it feels so good. And I think you find this with the military guys is they get in there and they grind, they burn the midnight oil. I know when you're a Marine and I was on active duty, we work some insane hours. You just do it. You know that.
Yeah.
Deployment, you work insane hours. When you're overseas in the zone, I mean, sleep is the only thing you do where you escape if you get to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm just I'm impressed. And I remember your story now from the first time we talked about that first $10,000 site and how you went back in there and figured it out yourself. And I believe the same way. I've tried to teach business folks how to understand the basics. I've got a WP Tonic 101 plugin to learn the basics of WordPress, then contract out, because we have a show, this terrible name called A Weekly Scam. And even though you're not really getting scammed, there's a lot of ways to lose a lot of money online, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. And, and I completely agree about doing the work first so that you know what you're going to get at a later point. And that's putting in, everyone likes to say, oh, I work hard. And I mean, it's before you hire someone to clean your house, you need to have cleaned your house gone on your hands and knees with a toothbrush and scrub those corners so that you know that, okay, I know the level that I want this at, and I know what it takes, and you're not going to be able to pull the wool over my eyes. And the same thing for a website. Like, I've done the SEO, I studied SEO. It's been 5 years, but if I go to hire an SEO company, I can smell BS pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I'm 110% on the same platform as ours. It's really refreshing. Well, that said, I'm going to bring this up with our pros. And by the way, some of our high-end website pros, you never know what you're getting, but I still shake my head around them. I'm like, I don't know. Hey, let's go on. You're starting a new podcast. You've had a podcast with John Lee Dumas, and the name of that podcast is
that's the High Speed Low Drag podcast. And basically it's, we interview successful veterans and we put it out there for veterans so that they can understand entrepreneurship and get a leg up. And that leads over to our mastermind program called High Speed Elite, which we open up a few times a year. And we usually bring guys in for about a 6-month training program. So, we don't sugarcoat this. I mean, it's a tough program, and we run people through a lot of information. We make them take a lot of action, but that's why we price it at the point we do. And we only bring in a set number of people. Now,
John Lee Dumas, I take it, is the expert on the podcasting. How did you hook up with him?
John and I met years ago at, I think it was New Media. Well, we didn't actually meet at New Media Expo. We had a coach in common, and she said that, Jamie Tardy, and she basically said, hey, you guys need to talk and meet. And it just goes to show why you should look to hire a coach, because sometimes they see something that you don't see. And I didn't even know who John was. He didn't know who I was. But when we started talking, we realized we were in Iraq at the same time during the 2003 invasion. And so it was like, hey, we got this in common. All of a sudden, I had a deeper connection, and we stayed in touch. And next thing you know, we're starting a business together.
Very good. Antonio, I've got to follow up on this question, but you just talked about having a coach. How did you pick a coach, and how do you pick a coach, and do you need a coach?
There's a good question. That's a great question. There is a podcast out there, like, I think it's The Coach's Coach. I can't even remember. So I remember I went out there and I looked at the questions I'm supposed to ask a coach. That was important. So I ask a lot of questions before. I make sure I trust their advice. It really does help when you can have access to some of their information. Maybe they have a podcast, maybe they have a YouTube channel. You see that they get you, that you get them. I do think it needs to be at a price point that it's a bit painful for you, so that you actually do take action. There needs to be, you need to find someone that works for you. I wanted someone that would hold me accountable, whose advice I could respect. So oftentimes you need a coach that is going to be, again, the money that you're going to spend with them, especially if you're at a higher level, could be a lot more than you almost feel comfortable paying. But if they give you that one insight, it's going to be worth it. Or they give you those few introductions, it's going to pay for itself.
Now, have you ever coached?
Yes. With High Speed Elite, I choose to coach military veteran entrepreneurs. That's really the only way I coach nowadays. It's not time efficient. I've got 4 young kids. I want to spend time with them. So for me, it's the only way I'll do it is if there's like a unique angle to it, which for me, I've chosen military veterans. It's kind of my way of giving back. It is, still, it's not free because I don't think anything really is free because it's always costing time, and I want them to take it seriously.
I've donated a lot in my life. Being in the military, you don't really associate money with work. It's hard to explain because you worked all the time. And it's just a different environment. So when I got out, I had to stop donating so much or working for people or causes. But Jamie Lee Tardy, how did you pick her as a coach?
Gosh, I don't actually remember. Maybe she had a podcast. I knew she was smart and up and coming, and that's one thing I looked for. So if you're ever looking for a great deal or a good value, you want to find you're going to have to take some risks. And so if you feel you're pretty good at identifying someone before because eventually people reach a point where it's not, they realize what they're bringing to the table and what they can charge for it. So I think I caught her at a point right before she actually, I don't even know if she takes on clients nowadays, but she was doing some things I wanted. She was ahead of me, and a coach doesn't have to be older than you. They don't have to be necessarily smarter than you, but they do need to be ahead of you, I think, in a particular skill set. And just those few steps ahead, they can save you a lot of time. So you're not banging your head up against the wall, where they're like, oh, no, you just go this way, or they can make those quick little intros.
Right. Now, one thing I can notice about who you picked, maybe it was luck or whatever happened, you got lucky, because I think there's scamming in coaching too. You got to watch that out. And it's in the high price coaching, then you don't get the value back. It's got to be the right fit.
They're scamming in everything, man. I just had I had to have my sewer pumped and I got scammed. It doesn't matter what you do. Like there's always someone, that is going to try to take advantage of someone that is not. And that's why the first thing you have to do is you have to educate yourself. You have to be able to make, the ability of human beings to be able to make decisions for themselves. That's the only true freedom we really have. And you got to take responsibility and realize you will fail. You will make mistakes. Just pick yourself up and keep going.
I love it. Just love it. One thing in closing on this little coaching site, one thing I have noticed is Jamie Lee Tardy, the people who she coached at the time you got your coaching seemed to a lot of them succeeded and did really well. Really well. John Lee Dumas is one. That's an example. And
is it Jamie Lee Tardy? I know she's now Jamie Masters. I know she.
I remember. I mean, I'm not up as current as I should be probably on her. I remember.
I thought John's middle name was Lee.
I'm pretty sure. Let me see something. We'll pause for a second. Okay, folks, on the podcast, we had to take a break and look at the eventual millionaire, and I want to say Jamie Lee Tardy, but it's just Jamie Tardy. And we just pulled up a site, Eventual Millionaire, which I dropped a blog in there. And down below, we see two testimonials, one from John Lee Dumas and one today from Antonio. Antonio right there. It's looking good, Antonio.
Yeah, thanks.
And you didn't know that was there. You're given permission, of course, but
oh yeah, I created it but I don't really track. What people do with those testimonials. I do try to give nice testimonials to people if they help me out. They can use it however. It doesn't take me too much time. Very few people ever do it. One thing I've learned is, going that on the extra mile, there's never any traffic. So if you do that, people remember it, and that's how you build, I think, real long-lasting friendships online.
Okay. Before we go to our final break, let's talk briefly about YouTube, because to me, when I think about you, I think about style, and I think about really using that YouTube platform. I assume since you self-taught on this WordPress site that you did the same thing with YouTube. Is that the case?
That's true. Yeah. So YouTube's interesting. I saw a guy that was already having success on YouTube with men's style, and he was talking about fashion. His name's Aaron Marino. And I was like, I'm better than this guy. I know more about style. Like, I don't even like what this guy's doing. I can do better. So my wife, after me saying this for a few months and me seeing him cumulatively get well over, I think it was like at 3 to 4 million views at that point that he'd already gotten. And I was like, and that was the cool thing about YouTube, is not only can you watch their videos again and again, and it's more engaging, I think, than sometimes written content, but you really connect with the person and you can see their cumulative numbers, which again, that doesn't tell you how much they're getting per day or any of that stuff, although you can find out that information. But so I started creating the videos, and lo and behold, I actually became really good friends, and now he's a business partner on multiple ventures. Aaron is. But what I learned with YouTube is that I could actually take the same content I'd been writing about for years, cover it in a different format, and actually get in front of a whole different audience and connect with them so much deeper than I ever could with an article. When you read an article, you rarely ever look at who wrote it, and you even less time actually search and find out a picture of that person. But when you watch a video, you can't help but see the person. Almost you're building a relationship with them. So now it's kind of strange. Like I've been recognized in airports, and I go places and people like they have this almost like you're almost this rock star to them. So you build a much deeper relationship, and then companies see those cumulative numbers. So they'll go on and they'll see, oh, you guys have like over 30 million views and 500,000 subscribers. And that's all built up over time. And to me, it's like, well, no one ever sees the fact that I've got over 120,000 people on my email list. Nobody sees that because they can't. That number isn't just publicly available on the website. But what they can see is those YouTube numbers, and that gets them to start talking with me. So now every single day, we have about 3 to 4 companies that reach out to us and want to work with us. So I'm in the very nice position of I turn down most deals and I cherry pick the ones I want.
Hey, with that, we're going to go to our final break. We're going to come back with your commercial and then one last question. Antonio, we've gone past the normal time, and we really appreciate what you've done for us, but there's so much to ask you. But we like to give you a commercial and ask you, how can the listener get a hold of you?
Yeah, just Google search me. Just Antonio Centeno, Real Men, Real Style. You'll find my contact form. I was actually pretty proud. A guy named Cal Newport he wrote a great book called Deep Work. And he talked about my my actually email contact form in his book. And so I was like, wow, that's pretty cool when you enjoy somebody's work and then lo and behold, they actually are reading your stuff. And go check it out.
So say that one more time, that link.
There is no link. Just type in Antonio Centeno, Real Men, Real Style, or any of that, and you'll find
Real Men, Real Style, real easy.
Yeah, we pop up all. I mean, you can't not find us if you're talking.
I love it.
If you're looking in men's style, we're there.
Love it. So we've got that sort of what. Do you want to give a commercial? Any commercial you want to give?
No.
Just go to the site. Okay.
Just go to the site.
So one last question. I wrote this down. Usually I ask you, what do you want me to ask you? But I got this question. How did you build your email list? What did you do? Well, how did you start?
I'm a big believer in pop-ups. So many people, for some reason, don't like them. I think pop-ups are friggin' awesome. As soon as we started putting up a Lightbox pop-up, I doubled. Now we get about 300 emails a day because we use pop-ups and we use other things like that. And it just gets started. Aweber is a great platform to start with. MailChimp is fine. After that, you want to maybe look at ConvertKit would be great to start with. Nathan Barry's done an amazing job with ConvertKit. And but I use Infusionsoft now just because of the complexity of what I need my email to be able to do.
I have Infusionsoft also, but one thing I'd warn you, I should have stuck with Aweber a lot longer because I spent too much time learning Infusionsoft.
I have a guy on my team who's it's called Confusionsoft for a reason. If you're not making $10,000 a month with your email, I would not recommend going over to Infusionsoft.
No, I'm not quite that high, but I also say budget about $5,000 to $7,000 to hire a third-party trainer that really knows what they're doing. That's one area that you need to help.
Yeah, Kelsey Bratcher over at Hired Guns. Just type him in. His guy won the Infusionsoft Marketer of the Year last year. Brian he's a Canadian painter. That guy's just the best. He's one of my good friends. We talk all the time. And again, this is key. I was sitting at a lunch with him in Icon there in Arizona, and I'm sitting across from this guy. I'm like, this guy's smart. I'll contact him. Within a year, one of his clients wins that Ultimate Marketer of the Year. And so I think that's the key is identify smart people and get close to them. I mean, surround yourself with smart people and you'll do fine.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on Timelines again. Episode 39, go back and re-listen to that. The sound will probably be better on 39 than it is here because we're using the Blab platform, but we're committed to doing the best we can with Blab because of the easy use of it, and it creates a wonderful YouTube clip automatically. Thank you, Antonio, and stay on for a couple seconds, please.
Yeah, not a problem. I see Mike's got a question for me.
Okay, we're over the podcast, but we're on YouTube, seeing on YouTube. Go ahead, Mike.
No, Antonio, I just thought of this too, and I got a quick question. My daughter is a stylist in Chicago. Mm-hmm. One of her projects she's on right now is she does the mails on the Sandwich King. She works for the Food Network. That's one of her source of income. And I looked at your site a little bit, not knowing exactly what you do, but would there be any value in her looking at what you guys are doing in respect to the styling part of what you're, promoting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that she could find it. I mean, if she exactly what does she have to style up the guys that are going to be coming onto it or the show?
The main chefs that are
so
actually.
I think we've got a free app. I think if she downloaded the app and she could very quickly look at the infographics and she could actually, so let's say she's looking at the guy, he's going to be coming on, here in a week, and she looks at his suit, it doesn't fit. Instead of saying, hey, you need to go get a suit that can fit, she could say, hey, here, go grab this app. He's got an entire quick infographic, no words. They can simply look at the images, how your suit should fit. And that was my key, is to make it simple so that guys know how to present themselves. Because what you don't want is some guy showing up and everything about him is so distracting that you don't even hear the message. And that's, when a guy understands that, it's not about, let's get away from, I don't even care if you look good. What I don't want you to do is look bad, because if you look bad, it takes away from what we're trying to do here.
Right. Well, and two, I was asking too, and I just realized this. She just got another job with one of the main TV news shows in Chicago. She's styling all of the newscasters on and off the job because they realize the value and how they need to look when they're out in the community, when they're out just going to the grocery store. But I was saying too, would there be any value as far as what you do for her to reach out directly to you? I don't know what opportunities there are.
Yeah, she'll probably know that more. Just have her check out my site. Say, hey, we talked to this guy. Just mention, Mike's name, and hey,
okay,
get through Antonio. It's something I have a lot of fun with. But for me, it's always about. One thing I've tried to stay is very laser focused on, what's cool is there's so much opportunity now that comes our way. We actually have to say no to good opportunities to be able to have time to say yes to amazing ones.
Well, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll share your stuff with her with that. But yeah, she's in that same place. She's getting all these styling opportunities, traveling from New York to Colorado and stuff. And now she's in that point of deciding, I have to, what is really going to work best for me. So yeah, good advice.
Hey, Antonio, I want to thank you for coming on. I know your time is precious. I hope to have you on next year. And I'm going to take I can't do it this year, but next year I'm taking a close look at STYLECON. I'd like to do different things if I'm going to go out. It looks like
we had a lot of guys that came out to it. It's just something I have a lot of fun with. It's almost like a testosterone. It's definitely 95% guys there. Yeah. And I like that because I didn't want it to be a style event that guys were in the back. Eventually we'll bring the women's side to it. That's why it's just called STYLECON, not men's STYLECON. But before I do that, I want to make sure that the men's side is firmly established, because in the industry, we're a very small part, and I wanted it to be equal.
But I appreciate your time very much. And again, thank you for your service. We didn't really talk about that. And thanks for everything you're doing for the community and success. Take care.
Bill, thanks. Mike, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike, for a second. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Okay. Go Army, beat Navy. Gotta say, he's a Marine, so he's sort of on that Navy hook side.
Now he has to remember to actually clip out. I heard that if you're a host and you close out, you're still active in the back.
I turn him out. I'm the one.
He's out. Okay.
I should have done it before him. I should have taken him out. Right.
Because
I should have pushed him out. So but when he shuts down completely, it'll still allow the site to, when we all three go off, it will shut down within about 3 minutes.
Yes.
So that's the key. A lot of stuff, they're changing. They've got that little, let me tweak this real fast. We'll get the last little minute here. I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm just going to tweet this so we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, you started the show where it would have had Tweet a Bird and then Facebook. Then now this showed up, and I was on a show this morning and yesterday that wasn't working. So they're still kind of working that out. Did you see that Sean bounced in and came in and out of your blab?
No, I was so focused on this blab, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, the Sean from Blab popped in, and I was just starting to type in hello and thanks for coming in, and he popped back out. So
when did he come in?
Towards the tail end.
Antonio is pretty well known. We're after the show right now, but some of the things I've watched him, and they're younger than we are. We're the next generation up. We're the backside. They're the millenniums, the end of the millenniums. I'm guessing he and John Lee Dumas about 36, 37, but their timing was good. Mm-hmm. But you know what he did is, I remember on his first show, it's 39, he was on, and he spent $10,000 for a website and got nothing from it. Mm-hmm. And then said, man, I've got a family. I'm running out of money. I got to get into this WordPress and learn it. And I think that had an impact on, well, I always believe in learning it yourself, but remember when I offered you some of my development tools, and it's exactly what he's using. It is using dynamic with, let me pull up what he's on his sites here. So he's using a Studio Press Genesis. I'm a strong believer in that Genesis theme because it just keeps things smooth. They use that for a theme. I've actually built my own child themes myself. And let's see, Studio Press. I don't know if he's using straight Genesis. I'll have to look at it further. Social media icons, Genesis Club. I'm going to have these WordPress guys analyze the site, ask them what would it cost to set up the site. I'm not going to tell them that he did a lot of work himself. But I'm actually thinking about launching a product called the $1,500 WordPress site. And basically it's everything that you see in the daily scam.
Hey, by the way, what did you get to Mark's site, the pharmaceutical, Teledoc on Saturday? Because we were walking.
Yeah, we did. We reviewed it.
Good, bad, what?
Kind of cheesy.
I mean, here's the point with that one is, and that's like with me with the insurance. When you go to the sites because you're ready to sign up. So I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's a more of a landing page, but it's not. It's missing. It doesn't have enough. It needs a little bit of flair. I mean, he could go in there and spend a few $1,000 and really make it.
I think he needs to have something where he can capture the email, because that particular product is definitely something he can go back and do a revisit to people. Versus I think life insurance is not something you can revisit. People want it now, but with what he's doing,
he needs a lead magnet.
Plus, with the price point, building that list.
He spent $3,000 to $5,000 to get that right.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it costs. And then you have to hope you get somebody you trust and know. And
it's funny you say that, because my wife was just doing a situation with a pharmacist who spent $30,000, apparently got nothing out of it, and now is beating her up because she's kind of talking the same language as far as what she can do. And so she's just walked away from it because he's so hung up on the fact that he lost all this money. He's not going to listen to anybody. And I told her, just walk away, because
I've seen a guy lose $37,000 and he's still out there trying. He bought the list. I saw he pops up. He's down in Texas now. I get emails from him once in a while. He's doing this motivation, rah stuff, and spending a ton of money. You get brainwashed when he's gone to these seminars. He spends like gazillion dollars.
Today only, in the next 90 minutes, buy it now. Well, and then too, somebody was selling him on the fact that he's got a brick and mortar facility and wanting to do webinars. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, a webinar is not going to work for somebody whose traffic comes within 2 to 3 miles of them. You're not going to get enough people in that targeted area to watch your webinar.
You got to have something you're selling outside your 3 mile. I've seen guys, Gary, I can't think of the guy's name. He does girls' baseball bats out of Texas, and he's got a little store. Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff locally. He's in a big city. Which one is San Antonio? One of the big cities. And Gary is his first name, and he does really well on his shipping.
And I talked to this other lacrosse coach about doing something, because
do that with lacrosse equipment.
You could get affiliate programs with different manufacturers, and then, show tips and tricks, and then sell stuff and make some money on the back end.
Yeah, but he doesn't do affiliates. He does that affiliates, but he does actually stocks the bats and ships them out himself.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't want to mess with that. That's like what I was doing with some of my Amazon and stuff. I started getting stuff in my garage, and I just didn't want to, mess with that.
But,
and just as aside, so I don't forget your question you asked, you know what? I have my feelings on that. What you asked me earlier offline. I don't want to, talk specifics, but it was just very, very frustrating for me. I was pulling my hair out, and I just couldn't do it. You may have a different chemistry.
This is the insider thing. The emails drive me nuts.
It was more personality than I think there's certainly some value. It was just driving me nuts. And I can't figure. We want to talk a lot. I had to unfriend. I had to just,
You hate to do that. I don't think there's a meanness there.
But, no.
You don't want to waste your time.
No. And I guess, for you and what Antonio was mentioning is say, okay, I know you've been doing this a while. How much money have you made? How much has people paid you?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's going to tell you right there.
You know what? That's a great question. Say, but you don't want to be mean, and you don't want to.
Well, but you got to look out for yourself, because you're going to be spending money and time. So yeah, I think there's nothing personally wrong with that, but to say, based on what you're touting all this stuff, how much have you made? How much have people paid you?
Yeah. I got to be honest with what I've done.
I don't want statistics. I want the W-2.
When I look back what I've done, I've studied podcasting. I'll tell you what, my first podcasts were pretty darn good. I didn't spend a lot of money going to courses. I did spend $150 on a guy who was a pretty good trainer, but he knew nothing of business. He knew podcasting, the sounds. And I think in retrospect, you want somebody, podcasting is a hobby for most people, but it's a tool that can be used in business, but it's only a tool. You've got to have that website. You've got to have brick and mortar. I mean, I don't know. It's so strange. I think I like YouTube. If I look back, I think I'd study YouTube more, but how do you making money online? You have to understand your platform. You have to have something else other than, I don't know. You've tried to make money online. That's what we talk about a lot.
Well, that's where I learned from other people who are doing it. And and when I tell people right away, they're checking my website, they're checking all this analytics, and they go, "We don't see anything." I says, "Well, you don't understand what I'm doing." So I have no analytics to what I do, because I go in and I research long tail keywords, and then I do a video that has to do with that long tail keyword. So I mean, the process is simple, and then I optimize that particular video. So yeah, so you're not going to see anything, you're not going to see your lifeinsurance411.com as some site that gets all this traffic, because that's just not how it works. So
yeah, by the way, on timelines, I really need to get back into my own websites. Like I call it the $1,500 website. I can teach you how to get up and hook up, the basics of Genesis, like he's using. Everything's there. But to go to the next level, that's really tweaking it out with the artistic, the art, and all that design. Like the weekly scam, that's a nice little quick setup, what we've done. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm seriously looking at maybe trying to monetize that instead of other stuff, and say, hey, look, join Netcasting 101 for right now. I'll go in for like 30 minutes. I'll set up the site for you, and then you can come back anything. I'm going to have like a 2-day course online where we just come up and work on Zoom or something, and we get you going with the basics. But you're not going to get rich off that site. You have to get to the next level where you're creating content, you're creating a lead magnet, and you're hooking everything together.
Well, like what you were saying, as far as Manor, could you, I would, if it's 1,500, so it would make sense if you did 2 a month, so that's realistic than saying I'm going to do one a day.
No, I wouldn't charge 1,500. No. Even though somebody told me to charge 1,500 for that, I was thinking about like $199 for the course, and just 30 minutes with them, and then let them come up open session, like a membership type thing, like for 300. But it's a 50
or something ongoing. I mean, you always want to have those with the Amazon. I like their model. Their model is, you get your basic training, which is loaded with stuff.
Amazon
for $20 a month. All right, $20 a month.
What's that? Amazon?
The DSD, the DSD. What's it called? I can't think of it. It teaches you how to. No, it's not on Amazon. It teaches you how to sell on eBay and Amazon.
Oh, it's a company. Okay.
Yeah. So the basic training's $20 a month, and it's you could make a lot of money just with what they teach you in there. Okay. Then they have the next level, which is taking you beyond eBay and Amazon to all the other avenues out there that you could source products from. Yeah. So that's, I think, $100 a month. So your base cost there's $120, and then they have more advanced programs that are one-time things. It's like a $399, a $499, a $599. And that's their model. And then if you're on the affiliate side, it's costing you $10 a month to be an affiliate. So I like that, because you have the small monthly, and then you have the bigger ticket, and they deliver. I mean, the bigger ticket is some good stuff. But
and I mean, I'm just saying though, but Antonio went in there and he got ripped off. He went in there and figured it out, and now he's one of these wonder kids. He's not a wonder kid. He's he's an older millennium, the very top of millenniums.
So
hey, anyway, one last thought, everyone out there. I'm going to probably change over. Timelines literally is my second WordPress site that I ever built. I use Genesis. I got so lucky that I got in Genesis. And the reason why I use Genesis is because I saw a lot of podcasters were using it. And by the way, I was around some programmers here in Reno, and John, and they all poo-pooed it. But this one guy who has a business who's running a business, who knows, is pretty smart. He's not a programmer, but he hires programmers. He said, hit this Genesis platform. By the way, Mike, we have that Genesis platform now in the weekly scam. You can learn from just playing with that, or I can set you up if you ever want to with Genesis. Just set you up in Genesis. I've got all the licensing, so don't buy the licensing for the development. That's another thing too. I can put in the licensing. But anyway, I'm going to make the landing page the schedule, the link, so people know what's going on. And I want to flex this time. Like we talked about weekly scam this week. Maybe we'll put it up Friday night, see what happens. Here's one thing about me is 9 o'clock. I've been doing this show and I've got some commitments for other shows. I've been putting all in the same RSS feed. That 9 o'clock is prime time for work and talking to people. So I'm not sure this is the best time to do a blab. Let's figure out and the listeners up there, when's the best time to do a blab? We're going to try. Friday night sounds like a sucky night, but we could try it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the schedule up as a landing page. Tomorrow we have a show at 9 o'clock. By the way, tomorrow's 9 o'clock show. Let me put the link up for tomorrow's 9 o'clock show. I'm going to put my links in.
And do you have a link for Friday yet?
Yeah. Mike, man, you don't read your email.
Oh, all right. I didn't open it. I thought that. Okay, I did see.
Look at that link. I send that out every Sunday.
Timeline schedule. Okay.
Yeah. See, every Sunday I'm trying to put the schedule out ahead of time. And I don't always get it out on Sunday, but I'm going to try to get it out Sunday. I'm going to get Mondays
Friday. Out. All right. I got it.
Wait a second. We're going to change. It's Friday. Did I change the time yet? Yeah, 9. Wait a second.
No. Well, this says 9 a.m. So you do got to fix that.
Wait a second. I may have changed the link and forgot to change the. I think is that still 9 a.m.? It says Friday, 9 a.m. still. So I'm going to change that right now on the fly.
Right,
what time are we going to do it? Edit.
Let me just see.
I'm going to edit on the fly right now. So
this says Friday at 12 p.m. I'm looking.
That's normal time. We're going to change it right now. I'm going to go p.m. Friday, and I'm going to go 6 p.m. my time, which is 9 p.m. your time, right?
Yes.
So that's the 27th. It's Friday. You got to be careful with Blab.
No. 26 is Friday.
You got to be careful with Blab. It likes to shift the days around.
Yeah, I saw that when
you do a change. I've seen people mess that up. So now it should say 2 days, 7 hours. Do a refresh.
All right, hold on. I'm going to refresh.
Let me bring the schedule up here.
Friday at 9 p.m. Correct.
So I'm going to change now that weekly schedule. I think I'm going to get a landing page that has that schedule on it to make it easy for people to get to.
Yeah.
I can make just as a start, and then have the podcast or the podcast blog be the next page with how to get to it. But let me go back to my links. Go to weekly shows. Yeah, I'm definitely think I'm going to put that in the front. So I need to go back and edit this. So we're doing it. And here's a question. Should I be doing this Pacific time or advertising at Eastern time? That's a hard one. I live Pacific, so the people around me, I hit Pacific, but Eastern is the standard.
What are we talking about anyways?
When I put my times up and when I put my advertised times, I put them in Pacific time.
What are we, what were we going to talk about on Friday? On
Friday, it's a weekly scam.
Right. And what
is our topic this week? We could talk about coaching.
I think we're going to talk about coaches.
Coaching, yeah. How do you find scamming and coaching? The other thing, I'm going to bring a little news up. Now, I'll try to find some scams online.
Yeah, I'm just doing this on Facebook. So
the IRS, remind people of the IRS scam that's going out there right now.
Picking the right coach. I was just sending the link on Facebook so that
you know what? That's a great name for the weekly scam. Picking the right coach. Instead of being negative, we're going to say picking the right coach. I'll put that up.
Yeah.
In fact, I will change the link on Blab to say that too, and I'll put this on the date. That's good, Mike. We can do this little mishmash. Like this is good. Notice I didn't change the topic up there, so it's just you and I. Mm-hmm. But I think we're onto something here.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to start changing the days around. I'm going to put some. I'm going to start moving the Blab. Maybe Monday I'm going to keep on at 6 o'clock 9 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. And I'm going to start moving the times around when I do these. But I'm going to put the schedule up when I'm going to be doing it so people can find it. And I'm going to be sending an email list out with a weekly schedule of all the Blabs on those who sign up. So sign up, and once a week I'll send out once a week email. I'll have the schedule and what's going on. The problem is we got to plan this out like this. We can do after the blabs anytime. This is good. I love blab. I hope it hangs in there. I hope the sound gets better. Hey, one thing for the last week, I have had a lot of clicks in the sound track. I turned around my sound a little bit. A lot of clicks. So I've been having to de-click them for the podcast. Have you noticed that on the YouTube?
I have not.
Are you getting clicks? I'm getting clicks.
No.
Is it me getting the clicks? I don't know. So with that, what time is it? 10:30. I've got to be off by 10:30 and do my work, or I will go broke. Are you making money? You're making money this week?
Yeah, I had some nice sales. I had some people found my video, and she called me up out of Texas, and I wrote a nice policy on her, and then she says, "Hey, can you get me some life insurance on my parents?" I said, "Sure." So we're working on that.
That's good. All right, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, all the blabbers, for coming in. Let me make sure I friend y'all right now.
Event shown
and track you a little bit. Yeos. I always like to go to the Twitter side. Yeos, where are you from? Just follow me on Twitter. Interesting little logo there. Podcasting, broadcasting. One follower, podcasting, broadcasting, someone else. Let's see who else we have up here. Hey, thanks, Bruce, for coming in. Appreciate you listening in today. Checking our times. Or in people doing extraordinary things.
I don't know if you know this. I'm on Jonathan Tripp has that Blab Nation, and he has a calendar where you can add your blabs. And I'm on his calendar.
Give me the email. Drop the link in here so I can look at it. It's faster. Drop the link. I love this. This is like an open blab training discussion where we're
hold on. I'm on his Facebook. It says add your event here, and all I see is the calendar, and I click on like 9 o'clock. It's not. I don't think he does. I don't think he does. That's good. He's doing something free. I can set up a website like a maniac. So I don't think he does podcasting at all. No, he does not. And he was talking about that. He had a podcaster on today, and he was talking about the fact that no, he does not. But my point here is, I don't know what I click to add our.
That would be nice if we could add our show there.
Yeah, because off of Facebook, I'm on Facebook. It says don't forget to add to our community calendar. I click that.
No, it's not.
What you're seeing is the calendar, and I click, and it's on Wednesday, so you see that it's highlighted there, but.
He's using this. Let me see what he's using on this. Let me go. Let's see.
It looks like it's
go down to the Google Calendar down the right. There you go. Did you want to add this?
Add the Google Calendar. All right, so I got to click that. Okay.
If you add it, we got to test this out. So if you add this Google Calendar, you want to make sure you don't screw up your own site.
Do you want
All
to?
It's doing is putting his stuff on your calendar. I don't think you can calendar back.
But we're supposed to be able to promote our blab on there. So like it says, do you want to add this calendar? Yes, add this calendar. No, do not add this calendar.
You need to get my calendar up there so you can see it, because you can see everybody on there in my block times. My calendar is kind of cool. I don't know how I add you to my, I use the complex calendar. I'm actually, I use Visita for my auto calendaring, but I'm thinking about contacting some other calendaring. All right,
so I'm in there. So 9 to 10. Hold on, let me just.
So you did it. You got it on there?
All right. Well, I will. How to pick a coach. And
weekly scam. How to pick a coach. I love that. Positive.
But where do I put the link? Where do I put the blab link? Okay.
Wait a second. I'm down. I know how to do these. I use Google Calendar. So let me get on here a second. So are you putting it at what time? Friday?
I already had the time in because I was down on on Friday.
Okay. Under description, you put what it is. And you put,
it says, what I'm seeing here, it says when and then what?
And it says when. If you double click it, the top is the event. The where could be your location. That's where you put your link to blab.
All right. Now, see, I don't, mine just create an event and edit an event.
I can do it from here.
Can you get on there? Okay.
I should be able to share my event with them too. Let me just try something. So, is the 26th Friday?
Yes.
Let me put this in and see if I can do it.
All right. So I'm gonna X out. So
I'm gonna do this in my time, which is 6 p.m. my time, and then it's gonna ask the time zone, which is Pacific time, which is done. So the where is on weekly scam.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. Where? Okay, the where would be the link. Let me stick the link in here. Let me do this. Let's see, Saturday. Let me pull this link up. What's nice is on that schedule I do that you come to, you can just pull a link right up. Lab paste. I put that in there where. Now the title, it's going to be episode 2. Do you know what the episode number is there? I should know from let me look back.
As far as our weekly.
It's 219. I got it. It's 219.
Okay.
19-02 means it's really the third show we've done.
Right.
How to pick a coach. Weekly scam. I'm going to put weekly scam.com. That's people have really shaken their heads when they hear that. The guys who I think oversell are saying, I don't like that name.
Yeah.
So on the description, what we say, Mike, let me go to my page, Weekly Scam. I need to do about us. Do I have a bio on you yet?
I think you had me put one somewhere on one of the sites that.
No, I haven't built an about yet. So we need to do that. That's just the basic page. I need to do about. Let me put that in here to build about.
Yeah, it was the site where I told you I had trouble putting a profile picture in because it was wanting me to set up something.
Well, let me teach you how to do this. I'll do an about page with me in there, and then I'll talk you through posting onto it. But here's the thing: this is really what I call the $1,500 website. That if you paid somebody, they should charge you about $1,500 to set all this up with all the connectivity. What I want to do is I want to teach people how to set this up themselves and go through it, maybe do their initial setup with them. And it starts out with your Gmail site and just so anyway, so I'm going to do about right away when I'm done here. And so let me finish doing this because I don't have about what Weekly Scam's about. I think maybe the first show I put about on there. Mike and Bill discuss what they want to accomplish on the Weekly Scam. Then they talk a bit about the background. The Weekly Scam is not just about the bad. It is about how to, so how to pick a coach and avoid scammers. And we'll also do an update in this show. We'll do a quick update with the news this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to cut and paste this in here. Stick this in here, and this should work. It's interesting. How do you find that he had this?
On the Facebook group Blab Nation.
Yeah,
and you're a member.
Good. So
anyway, I'm looking at your picture right here. So.
I've got this. It says "Do it is busy." I'm going to go ahead and post this.
So if you go to the Facebook Blab Nation group,
I just say don't see what's there.
Renee, and then it's a pinned post, and it says, "Don't forget to add your."
I just posted it, but it's not showing up on mine.
All right, let me refresh here and see.
On Friday the 26th. So he might have a permission thing where he has to give permission or something.
Yeah, no, I don't see anything.
I just posted the darn thing. And let me look at the calendar here. I thought I used his. So would I have his calendar on my calendar now? Let me see if it shows up. This calendar stuff is really unique. He's doing like me though. He's like making, let me see if he's doing like me. He's doing links.
And nothing.
Interesting what he's doing. I'm just playing around with this stuff. His Jonathan Tripp, he's using his name as the core name. He's got a basic, he's got what I call a $1,500 WordPress site set up. Consulting. His WordPress is not great. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's interesting stuff. I'm going to go ahead and share this with everybody. Mike and Bill playing around with Blab Nation's calendar. Yeah, calendars, CALENDAR. Okay. Go and share that. So anyway, hey Mike, I do have to get to work.
Me too. I gotta finish up, and I gotta head over to practice.
Hey, tomorrow we got a really good show on WP Tonic.
All right.
On the real estate show. We got this guy from Chris Bridget from LMS Lister, which is fascinating. He's going to be on Saturday too on WP Tonic, and he's going to be talking about learning management systems. It's going to be 9:00 tomorrow. Pacific, 12 Eastern. And I think that'll be this. Hey, this show today we had a top-notch guy on the show.
I know. Hey, when you get
one of the big guys,
he's got to be in the top 1% of traffic to YouTube. So
he's one of the big guys we had on, and we only had I didn't send out an email ahead of time. Like, we've got a blab coming out, but what I should do is send out like the 40 top people who really care, just a quick email and saying who I have on. This is a top-notch guy.
Well, and two, you might, now that you know where Jonathan's thing, you may try just posting it in there every day too, or, a couple days before. I mean, they're giving you the platform. So.
See how much traffic he's got. His website, you can tell his baby website. He's just building. He stumbled on something good. He's using Blab Nation, but he's not. That's fast because now I have to sit. You know how long it takes me to make this podcast? 2.5 hours.
No.
And I've been doing this for a few years, and I've got all the shortcuts down. So my question is, and Antonio is not really doing a podcast. Someone else is doing it for him. He's going to do the evergreen. I think the way to do a podcast is create an evergreen podcast of 7 shows. But when you do a daily podcast, like I flip it up, that's a ton of work.
I hear you.
I'm not sure that's the best way to do it. And Jonathan's snooking me into putting up an RSS feed with the real estate show on a podcast. I don't know. Anyway.
All right.
Scam myself, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thank you. We're going to sign off. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow, 9:00 Pacific. And we'll be back with WP. Tomorrow is the real estate show. If you can suffer through the real estate show.
Thursday. All right.
Yeah, take care. Thanks.